Oh yeah, big fish. We the ones that you wanna get with. Took a couple L's,
Grand Rising, good people. Hold up, I gotta turn my light on.
Me and the guys ain't never been losers. See a nice little thing.
Hold on, I gotta turn my light on. I ain't realize my light was off. You feel me? The natural glow is glowing. I ain't even realize.
Even if you rehearse this, we
Hold up.
own it. Yeah, hurts it. Big difference. That's worth less, yes. All we do is invest. Put the work in.
There we
Never
go,
mind
there
the
we
stress.
go.
And you don't mind tests when you better than the rest.
Oh, hold up. We already got 8. Yo, make sure when you tap in, you're liking, subscribing. We got 8,000 people in the building bright and early. We got Big Bro Steve. Morning, y'all. Steve in the building. Sup, y'all? Got the Bro God, Boog in the building. Grand Rising, Anthony. Good morning, gang. You know what it is. Hey. Good morning, night. All right, subtle flex from Maya. I guess because she's saying that she's... Yeah, that was a subtle flex. Hold on. Let me subtle, very subtle flex from Maya. Good morning, good night. She's in Bali right now. Yeah, I wasn't able to go because I have to work and make the money because she likes to do all this traveling and stuff and buy clothes and wear aloe and all this other stuff. So she's in Bali, so it's actually 8 p.m. over there instead of 8 a.m. over here. So yeah, I said all that just to say that it's a different time zone. My bad. I said a whole bunch of other stuff, but what I was trying to say is in a different time zone. Hey, hold up, Anthony's. We back with it. Like the video, subscribe, maybe even send to your group chat. This is gonna be one of those ones. This is gonna be one of those ones where I got to shower right after the show. I feel like I got to shower right after the show because it's gonna get real sticky in here. You feel me? It's gonna get real sticky. It's just the energy's going. All right, so let's hold up. We going again. Nah. All right, so today, y'all saw the title. Maybe y'all didn't, but manhood. We're going to talk about manhood. We're going to talk about and review some of the show from Michelle Obama and her brother Craig's podcast in which Barack was on there. You may have seen some clips. There were some clips that went viral with Barack Obama telling every young boy or encouraging young boys to have a gay role model in your life. But we're going to go a little bit deeper into that conversation. Some of the things that he said, they said, I agree with. Other things, I'm sitting here like, bruh, like you do realize that you contributed to a lot of this. And other stuff is just, more so liberal versus conservative. And we're not going to focus too much on that. But there are certain aspects of both that I believe are contributing to what I would call the downfall of America. And what a lot of people call downfall of America. And what we actually may start off with is a letter to the American Baha'i community that my big sis Shaga shared with me that highlights not only just the downfall of America, but highlights the impact of America on the entire world and how if we don't address a lot of the issues that come up in today's society, we're going to be headed to a dark place. We're going to be headed to a dark place. We're going to be sitting around doing, I guess, what we've done for the last, I don't know, however many years, because it's almost like society's a roller coaster, right? It's almost like it's either going down or it's going up. And I think everybody would agree that we've been in that phase of the roller coaster where we've been going down. And there's a call for people to, hey, we got to start moving in a different direction. And when things do go down, maybe that is what creates the opportunity. And as I was saying, opportunity, when I first hesitated, is because the opportunity with things going downhill, in my opinion, the people that have captured the opportunity are the ones that have used their self-interest or been led by their self-interest to create more money for themselves as they line their pockets, to build based on the downfall of everybody else, right? Okay, people are moving towards a place where we have no morals and principles. Oh yeah, let's start off this OnlyFans. You know, let's get people hooked on drugs. You get these type of things where we haven't seen as many of the people embrace the opportunity when things are getting ready to hit the fan in order to push things in a positive way. Or perhaps there have been people pushing it, but they just haven't been able to capture the audience as much as others. And I think we're going to talk more on that. And maybe we'll just allow this to lead into the letter that I'm going to share with y'all. But what I believe ends up happening is, or let me kind of ask this question, because I was listening to a podcast with shout out to my big bro Pete. He sent over, and it was talking about religion and talking about the impact of politics. And there was a question being asked, and that's kind of the question that led me into having a lot of this conversation, which is, well, okay, so what do we do? You know, there's problems, but what do we do? How do we turn to religion? How do we turn to religion? And let me open up my notes because there's things that I want to make sure that I hit on. And the reason why it's like, okay, so what's the answer? I'm sorry, that was the question. What's the answer? What is the answer to us having more structure, having more morals, having a better way of life, embracing the godliness in each other, embracing our connection with each other? What would be the answer? In most cases, and what a lot of traditional people and maybe even non-traditional people would say, religion, right? Isn't that the goal of religion? Isn't that the purpose that it's supposed to serve, to give us guidance on how we're supposed to live our lives? And this podcast was highlighting the fact that a lot of young people are seeing the BS in the religion. The same things that we talk about all the time, they're seeing the BS, they're seeing the inconsistencies, they're seeing the hypocrisies. And perhaps what they're seeing more than most is the fact that you cannot use old absolutes to solve new problems. We try to use old absolutes. What is religion? Religion is absolutes. And what allows it to be, and a lot of people would say, well, it's not really absolutes, because who abides by the 10 commandments? Who abides by a lot of these things? And perhaps that is why pastors, and that is why people, us as the individuals that follow a lot of the religions and follow a lot of these religious leaders, perhaps that is why both want to keep relying on old traditions and old religions. Because what happens is, I don't think that a lot of us embrace the things that are actually in, let's say, the Old Testament, which is pretty much the Torah and obviously the Old Testament in the Bible with Christianity. I don't think that most people agree that you should be able to beat your slave. I don't think that most people agree that you can conquer a land and have sex with whatever woman that you want, regardless of how she feels about it. And if you want to take her on as your wife, then you can. If not, let her go. I don't think most people agree that when you conquer a land that you should do what lions do and kill all the males off. But if you want to keep some of the women, then you can. I don't think people actually believe in that. But I think the reason why people continue to embrace these old teachings and old absolutes without calling it out and recognizing that we need an update to a lot of these religions is because the disconnect from where the Bible is and where a lot of these old scripture-based books that have all these absolutes compared to where things are now is it gives people space. And that space allows people to accept the lack of accountability, the lack of responsibility, and it allows the religious leaders to have more power because now they have more of an interpretation, right? Because if it was just the Bible and the Bible had all the rules that we just follow now, then there would be less of a need for people to be pastors, to serve as religious leaders, because it's like, yo, I already got what's in the book. Like, I don't need you to read for me what's already the rules apply. What makes these pastors so important and what gives them the power is because this is an outdated book. These are outdated books that we're trying to apply today. So therefore, we need the pastor to interpret it for us. So the pastors don't want to give up that power. The priests don't want to give up that power. the religious leaders in other religions, they don't want to give up that power. Because if you just have an updated spirituality and updated religion, then it takes away from the power that they have to interpret things however they see fit. And it takes away from and it puts accountability on us as people to embrace these new things. It's easy to sit back and say, like, I don't have to do everything that's in the Bible, because if I did everything that was in the Bible, then I'd be raping women. I'd be doing, right? It's easy for us to say, oh, I could do this. I could do that. I can have my vices. I can do these things because look at the Bible. The Bible condoned all these things. If you had something updated, then it would force accountability, because the rules, the way of life would be directly related to the days and times of now. And for a lot of y'all, because the majority, even if the majority of people on here are Christian or whatever, the majority of people have never read their Bible. The majority of Christians have never read their Bible. The majority of people who embrace religions do not embrace what the Baha'is call independent investigation. It's the opposite of independent investigation. It's dependent investigation, dependent upon your teachers, your Sunday school teachers, dependent upon your pastors, dependent upon your priests, dependent upon all these people that just play middleman for your relationship with God, rather than you having that connection through individual understanding and independent investigation. But maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But I want to start off today. And shout out to Unk in the building. My fault. I wasn't looking at the chat. But shout out to and slow burn. I believe in God, not religion. Yeah, it's very hard to. I don't really think anybody believes in. I don't even think people believe in the religion that they practice. They just embrace it. To me, there's a difference between believing in something and just embracing it. We just embrace religion. We just embrace Christianity. Why? Well, my mom and dad were Christian. My grandma was in the church. Oh, well, my mom's Jewish. Oh, well, I grew up, Muslim. You just, oh, well, all the homies is Muslim. We embrace it. We don't believe in it. We don't know enough about it to believe in it. It's like saying, how do you believe in something that you don't even know about it? The things that I just said were in the Old Testament. Most people probably don't even know that they're there. So how can you say you believe in something if you don't even have enough information on it? Shout out to Shy in the building. All right. So, and a religion that doesn't encourage you to do your own investigation on something, to me, that's a religion that is taking responsibility off of people. Yeah. I don't know. You shouldn't be able to. You got to go through orientation to you got to get put on a gang. You got to know the sayings. You got to know how to throw up your gang signs. You got to do all this stuff to be in a gang. But all you got to do is be dropped in some water and have the pastor hold your nose or the priest hold your nose, and now you're baptized and you're a Christian. You got to do more to be in a frat or sorority than you have to do to embrace somebody as your Lord and Savior. Think about that. You have to do more to get into a college that is robbing you of your money without giving you a proper return value than to embrace something as your religion. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense to y'all. It doesn't really make sense to me, but who knows? Let's get into this reading. I want to just highlight it. It's pretty long, but what I will do is leave the link. I'll try to leave the link. Actually, let me go into I may have to go into my text to actually leave the link, but let me see if I can find the link for you all, because I want to show you I want you guys to have the link. Okay, I have it right here. I'm going to copy it. I hope I'm allowed to share this link. I believe I'm allowed to share this link. All right, well, I'm going to show it with you all. I'm going to leave the link right here. Is it allowed to? Hold on, let me make sure that I can share this. Share. Copy. And if it doesn't allow me to share the link, I'll figure out a different way to send it to you all. All right, so it's a PDF file, so it may not allow me to. But let me, at the very least, I'll pull it up on the screen so you all can follow along. All right, can we make this full screen? There y'all go. Let me chill over here. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Those numbers started to get a little lower when you start. That means we hitting on something. All right, so let me see if I can. There we go. Technology comes through once again. All right, so let me make sure y'all are good. Y'all can see. So I wanted to just read a couple passages of this because it's going to set the tone on a lot of the things that we talk about. And hold on. Unc corrected me on something. I beg to differ, nephew. Most Muslim children have to read the Quran during the month of Ramadan, just like in Jewish traditions, the Torah is read every day. So, Unc, this will be my response to that. Let me hide this for a second. Reading during the month of Ramadan is pretty limited. If you're committing your life to something, you would think that you would have to read it more than 8% of the year, that you would be committed to reading it more than 8% of the year, that you would have to commit to certain things before you even embrace it as your religion. Okay, so they read the Quran during Ramadan for a few minutes out the day. Ask those same kids how much screen time they have of reading what's on Instagram, of scrolling on Instagram, compared to something that is going to set the tone on how they live their lives. You get where I'm going? All right, so I think we understand. I think we get it. But if Islam is pushing that, then yeah, it should be pushing it. I think and I actually was thinking in my head, to be totally honest with you, that probably Islam is one that, like, when I think about my friends, Islam is the religion that I would say the most independent investigation is done when it comes to the main religions, as far as the big three: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The reason why I would say is because the majority of people that I know who have embraced Islam have converted to Islam. So people that convert, I do think that they take time to do more due diligence because they're going through a change. But most people just embrace the religion of their parents. So when you just embrace the religion of your parents, are you really doing due diligence? Or are you just associating a lot of your good times with Christmas and a lot of Easter holidays, and therefore grandma was embracing Christianity and in the church, so therefore that's what you embrace? But to each their own. If religions are doing that, then yeah, that should be pushed. But let's get into this letter. Now, a lot of people may or may not be familiar with the Baha'i faith. The main takeaway that I want you to have while we're reading this letter, or the main thing that I want you to process, is that there's a calling for America to do more, and how much America sets the tone on what the rest of the world is, has been, and will be. It is no different than the cool kid in the classroom setting the tone on a lot of things that happen in class. It's no different than the most successful cool kid in your friend group who maybe sets the tone on certain things. Cool always wins. We've heard this, and when I say always wins, it's not necessarily a good thing. But I think you all have heard me, and probably haven't said it in a while, that we're in a battle between what's cool and what's not. We have to win the cool battle. When the righteous, structured, morally sound, lifestyles with integrity can win the cool battle, then we'll be in a better place. Think about kids that grow up, and we're going to talk about this when we go over Barack Obama and hit some of the things that he mentioned as far as with boyhood and manhood. Think about little girls who grow up without a father in the household. Think about ones who grow up with a father in the household. Same thing with boys. When little boys are growing up with a father in the household and they think that their dad is the coolest person in the world, on the planet, which is what I think every little boy should grow up thinking, knowing, not thinking, knowing. It changes their entire perspective on life. They are no longer able to be influenced like other young boys would be influenced by other external factors that happen outside the household. They're not looking for that male figure, that love from a father figure in other areas of life. They get that at home. They don't need to embrace. I'll just use me as an example. I didn't need to do certain things and to follow certain people because my dad said, nah, this is what's cool. This is what's cool. Getting a good education is what's cool. Being disciplined is what's cool. Having structure is what's cool. No, you're going to read on the weekend. No. Getting an A is cool. How did he show me it's cool? You're getting punished if you don't do your best. If you bring a C and you were slacking, definitely you bring a D, you're not going anywhere. Oh, well, everybody else, all my friends, they got, C's and they were cool. No. This ain't about your friends. You have a different standard. It's a lot easier to embrace the teachings of your father and the teachings of what are going to put you in a more positive, give you a better chance to succeed in life. It's a lot easier to embrace those things when your father, who's giving you the advice, you see him as the coolest person in any room you walk into. Some people may look at it a little bit different. So Vons wrote, we make things cool, Black folks. So let me ask you this. I don't disagree with you, Vons. I don't disagree with you at all. Why is it the people that make things the coolest seem to be struggling the most? That just goes to show you that we are in a battle of what's cool. Because people follow what's cool. Culture is largely determined by what we perceive as cool. So to Von's point, I don't disagree with him when he say we make things cool, Black folks. Now, that's absolutely nothing to pat yourself on the back for, in my opinion, because that just means that if Black people are setting the tone on what's cool, that means that we have all the individual power, group power to change the culture of the world, I guess you would say, because if we control a lot of what's popping in culture, at the very least, we have the ability to change what happens in our culture with our families, right? But that means that we choose not to, we are intentionally choosing not to do so. So when Vons, and we're going to talk about this later as far as the lack of appreciation of men in a post, but when y'all see Vons always on here talking about how much he loves Black women, when you look at Black culture, who typically runs the households? Black women. But we're the ones doing the most cool. We're the ones controlling the coolness, right? We're the ones that make everything cool. Y'all see where I'm going? Like, do I have to go there? I'd rather not. I want to get into the letter, but y'all see where I'm going with all this. And we'll talk about it a little bit later on. Vons, we'll hold that thought until we talk about the Barack Obama interview. And Vons, you bring up a good point. We choose sports. We allow ourselves to get finessed. And to be totally honest, going back to Von's point, when he says that we make things cool, when it comes to the things that we choose to do, we get told what to do. Y'all saw that Meek Mill interview when he sat here and said, oh, well, as artists, we get paid to push more ignorant stuff rather than the things that are going to actually help elevate the community. We are intentionally doing those things. So when we have our leaders, and Meek Mill, no different than a politician, no different than whoever else. When we have our leaders that are intentionally choosing to do things that are going to get them a bag, rather than push purpose, but it's going to compromise our integrity, it's going to compromise our culture, but they are intentionally doing so, it's not a surprise why we end up in the positions that we're in now. Is it a surprise? I don't think so. I don't think so. Hold on, let me see. Lifestyle of common sense will get you to the front of the class. I agree. That's why we always say, do what makes sense. Do what makes sense. Steve wrote, I wonder how many kids in the class look at us as the bully. Hold on. Was that to an earlier point? But yeah, that's a. But yeah, that's a. It's all of this stuff is connected. All of this stuff is connected. Young girls, yo. So I have to let me bring up this without getting into too much detail because it's one that's very close to home. I was thinking about a homegirl that I have, and she didn't have a father in the household. And I realized that her mother, even I was talking to my mom about this yesterday, her mother knew what was good for her daughter. Her mother knew what was good for her daughter. Her mother knew, even when her daughter was at a young age, what type of man was good for her daughter. I do believe that. However, the daughter didn't necessarily embrace that because she's a young girl. She was more so embracing what we perceive as the cool kids, the cool guys, right? Wanting to have the bad boys, right? We see a lot of these young girls. You see a lot of these young girls that are raised, you would think, in the right way. They could have a private school upbringing, could be around good people, right? But who do these young girls tend to fall victim to? And when I say fall victim to, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but who do a lot of these young girls tend to like? They tend to go after the excitement. They don't have a dad in their household, so therefore they don't have a dad showing them what's cool when it comes to masculine energy. So when we don't have something that's cool and exciting, what do we tend to do? We tend to get radicalized. We tend to just go towards the things that are gonna, oh, that's the most fun. That's who gets the most attention. Even if it's the kid that's getting in trouble in class all day, that's the most attention. And I'm going to make a connection even to a lot of young kids that are raised right now. If young kids that are 15, 16, 17, especially the young boys that have all this testosterone in them, if they don't have something that they can put it towards, then it typically just goes towards whatever that they can get radicalized very quickly. Well, they'll tend to just lean into whatever, where, hey, I just got to fight for something. Now they're fighting for this movement, pushing this movement, fighting with this gang, joining this group, because they need something to compete in. They have all this built up testosterone. So connecting back to this girl that I knew growing up, the mother wasn't enough, because even though the mother, who I assume learned from the mother's mistakes, so that therefore she could give her daughter the advice fell on deaf ears, because there was no father there that set the tone. Just like that advice tends to fall on a lot of boys, it tends to fall on deaf ears, because if you don't have the father there that's showing you that the right things to do in life are cool, what does our culture show us? Vaughn said it earlier. Black people, we determine culture. Well, what does Black culture look like? Does it look like it's going to produce a lot of positive outcomes, or does it look like it's going to produce negative outcomes? The proof's in the pudding, right? So let's keep going with this letter. Let me read a little bit of it. Like I said, we'll go through a couple pages of it, and then I'll make sure that I get you all the link. And what I may end up doing is just dedicating to this. It's about 9 pages, just dedicating a separate video to just embracing this. Hold on, let me pull it up, make sure I got it pulled up for me. All right, so to the American Baha'i community, beloved friends and co-workers. So this is a letter. So it says, the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States. This is a letter written to the American Baha'i community. And something that was interesting that my big sis told me is that a lot of times in the Baha'i faith, what they do is they embrace helping countries outside of America. Now the energy has shifted within the last year. Now the energy has gone towards, no, y'all American Baha'is, you need to focus on America. You need to focus on your stuff, because this is me speaking. This is just my read on it. because America's been so messed up. It's impacting the entire world. It's impacting these other countries. It's impacting culture across the world. So y'all focus on y'all. Take care of your home first before you start trying to take care of other people's homes. Put your mask on first, and then you can help other people. So let's take a look at this. To the American Baha'i community, beloved friends and co-workers, this is a time of great historical consequence for all humanity. The forces set in motion by the advent of Baha'u'llah, and I always pronounce, it's very hard for me to pronounce Baha'u'llah. Oh, I pronounced it right, Baha'u'llah. Oh, that's like the first time I think I pronounced it right. The forces set in motion by the event of Baha'u'llah, the promised one of all ages, acting both within and outside the community of his avowed followers, are swiftly gaining momentum. Notice the H in his is capitalized. Surely it is not difficult for any of us to discern that a storm is gathering on the horizon, signaling an impending climax that must sooner or later revolutionize world affairs. This is a theme that has long permeated the statements of the Universal House of Justice. Its most recent assessment of the current condition of the world came in this year's Ridvan message that with every passing day, we see too the condition of the world grow more desperate, its divisions more severe. The escalating tensions within societies and between nations affect peoples and places in a myriad ways. To recognize this is to acknowledge the profound moral imperative faced by the peoples of the world, and most especially by the followers of Baha'u'llah. The House of Justice continues. This demands from every conscientious soul a response. We are all too aware that the community of the greatest name cannot expect to be unaffected by the travails of society. Yet, though it is affected by these travails, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, it is not confused by them. It is saddened by humanity's sufferings, but not paralyzed by them. Heartfelt concern must prompt sustained effort to build communities that offer hope in place of despair, unity in place of conflict. Needless to say, our own country is mirrored in these same difficulties. Indeed, whatever its material achievements may be, it is clear that American society is still very far from reflecting the spirit and splendor of the teachings of Baha'u'llah. This fact, however, should not in any way diminish our faith in the high destiny ordained by him for this country, nor the indispensable part his followers must play in achieving it. Let's focus on that. Nor the indispensable part his followers must play in achieving it. There's a role for us all to follow. And this is not just people that follow the Baha'i faith. This is people across the board. For those that are familiar with the Baha'i faith, you know that they don't see separate religions. They see all the different religions as solutions to what was at that time today's problems, right? Today's problems. You have to continue updating things. Just like if we're living in times of Sodom and Gomorrah, which a lot of people may say is now, then there may be a reason to embrace when Muslims say 3/4 of the body, I believe it's 3/4 of the body should be covered by women. When you have a society that is becoming maybe what ours is already has become, then you can understand why, and maybe we can't understand it now, but we'll see 5 years from now why we could say, hey, we got to start covering up. We're doing too much revealing. And now that may be an absolute that we say is like, hey, you can never have an absolute and have rules to say women got to dress this way. I'm not saying that you'll embrace that, but what you may embrace is the fact that, hey, we need a cultural shift to dress more appropriately. Is that fair? Okay. America to be the standard bearer. In the following passage from the letter known to us as America and the Most Great Peace, Shagai Effendi recalled some of the many statements of Abdul Baha, attesting to the future of the North American continent and the American nation. The continent of America, he announced in a tablet unveiling his divine plan to the believers residing in the northeastern states of the American Republic, is in the eyes of the one true God, the land wherein the splendors of his light shall be revealed, where the mysteries of his face shall be unveiled, where the righteous will abide and the free assemble. May this American democracy, he himself while in America was heard to remark, be the first nation to establish the foundation of international agreement. May it be the first nation to proclaim the unity of mankind. May it be the first to unfurl the standard of the most great peace. The American people are indeed worthy of being the first to build the tabernacle of the great peace and proclaim the oneness of mankind. May America become the distributing center of spiritual enlightenment and all the world receive this heavenly blessing. For America has developed powers and capacities greater and more wonderful than other nations. This is what Vons is talking about. He was talking about with the black community, but this is just overall with America. America is seen as the cool kid throughout the world. The cool kid has a lot of sway. Just think about when you're growing up as a kid. Who has more sway to especially kids that don't have guidance, which is, if we're being realistic, what America is right now. A kid running around here without guidance, without structure, without discipline, without morals, without integrity. That's what America is. So do you think that that kid that has no structure is going to listen to his principal? Going to listen to, I guess if he has no structure, he may not have a father in his life, but do you think he's going to listen to, hey, you got to do the right thing, you got to get a good education, or he's going to listen to the cool kid in the class? Who's going to have more sway? May America become the distributing center of spiritual enlightenment and all the world receive this heavenly blessing. For America has developed powers and capacities greater and more wonderful than other nations. May the inhabitants of this country become like angels of heaven with faces turned continually toward God. May all of them become servants of the omnipotent one. May they rise from their present material attainments to such a height that heavenly illumination may stream from this center to all peoples of the world. This American nation is equipped and empowered to accomplish that which will adorn the pages of history, to become the envy of the world and be blessed in both the East and the West for the triumph of its people. I'm laughing a little bit because it says that become the envy of the world and be blessed in both the East and the West for the triumph of his people. I'm laughing because I'm going to share with y'all something that came up, a video that China was banning OnlyFans, and they were banning OnlyFans, and they actually discussed how, I forget exactly the wording that they said. Hold on, I have it right here. It says China has officially banned OnlyFans, calling it a symbol of Western moral decay. They called it a symbol of Western moral decay. So the reason why I'm laughing is because it says become the envy of the world and be blessed in both the East and the West for the triumph of its people. And I'm not laughing because that shouldn't or cannot happen. I'm laughing because it's the Baha'i faith has recognized not only that America needs to make changes, but also recognize the impact. And a lot of the world recognize the impact that we have throughout the world. And our impact, as China just highlighted, has a certain amount of moral decay that we have to understand that we are responsible for not only spreading throughout America, but spreading throughout the world. So I'm laughing, but it's obviously a serious situation. The American continent gives signs and evidences of very great advancement. Its future is even more promising, for its influence and illumination are far-reaching. It will lead all nations spiritually. America will lead all nations spiritually. Let me be very clear. I think America already leads nations spiritually. What determines spirituality more than culture? Now, we may say it's leading in a negative way, which I would agree with, but it is very much leading. It is very much leading. And spirituality, what is spirituality? A connection to God. So the opposite of that would be a disconnect to God, right? Now, we still have a connection to God, even if we're not moving in a godly way, because our oneness, in my opinion, is what God represents, our connection to each other. So if I didn't explain that clearly, well, I guess I explained it clearly. What I'm saying is that you can be leading in a negative way just as much as leading in a positive way. I hope that makes sense. And further, there are these wonderful statements about the future victories to be won by the American Baha'is. The range of your future achievements, he once more affirms, still remains undisclosed. I fervently hope that in the near future, the whole earth may be stirred and shaken by the results of your achievements. I like the stirred and shaken. The Almighty, because there's like connection. Like, what do we hear? Stirred and shaken, like almost like a drink. What is American culture? Like, maybe I'm reaching. All right. The Almighty, he assures them, will no doubt grant you the help of his grace, will invest you with the tokens of his might, and will endue your souls with the sustaining power of his Holy Spirit. Be not concerned, he admonishes them. With the smallness of your numbers, neither be oppressed by the multitude of an unbelieving world. Exert yourselves. Your mission is unspeakably glorious. Should success crown your enterprise, America will assuredly evolve into a center from which waves of spiritual power will emanate, and the throne of the kingdom of God will, in the plenitude of its majesty and glory, be firmly established. I wanted to share that with you to hopefully put responsibility and accountability on our shoulders. We are in a decayed society. Vaughn said that he agrees that it's Western decay. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you, bro. But let me say this. Your earlier point is that Black people make things cool. I think we all can determine that coolness determines culture, right? I think we all can then make the connection that culture directly impacts whether we'll have a decayed society or a thriving society. So the direction that you may think that I'm going to go in, I'm only going to go there 10%, which is blaming Black people, right? Black people are the problem. I got my 10% out the way. The direction that I want to spend the 90% on is focusing on the opportunity. If America determines what's cool, if Black people determine what's cool, right? That means we have an opportunity, perhaps even a responsibility that comes along with, okay, you're the kid in the class that, hey, everybody, you ever have a teacher pull the cool kid to the side who may have not been doing certain things the right way? And the teacher pulls you to the side and say, hey, you know, the rest of the kids follow you. Like, I need you to be a role model. Like, I lead in a positive way. Use your charisma to lead us in a positive way. You don't want to be the class clown. You don't want to lead people. There's an opportunity here and perhaps a responsibility. I would say there is no perhaps for me. There is a responsibility, but everybody can determine as they see fit. There is a responsibility among us right now and a huge opportunity. With chaos brings opportunity for us to turn this ship around. For us who are equipped with the coolness that everything we do, right? America, everything we do is cool, right? We determine what's cool. We determine what's popping around the world. Everybody wants to be an American. You either hate us or you love us. And that goes to show you how much we are admired. The reason why China had to said those things, it's a symbol of Western decay. China wishes that they had the influence that America has. At least they wish that they had the influence, even if it's not the influence of the rest of the world. But you don't think China is looking at the impact that American culture has made on Chinese citizens and is pissed off, and they wish that they were more impressionable to their citizens? It's almost like China is one of those parents that their parents are telling them to do the right thing, right? Focus on your education. Be responsible. Be morally sound. Don't get caught up in all these negative influences. Don't get caught up in drinking and smoking and schooling. And then America's that kid, or perhaps the cool parent that's allowing their kids to get away with doing whatever. They can smoke weed. They can have friends over. They can do whatever it is. They can go out, stay out as long as they want. That's what America is. That's what America is. So, and Vaughn's just said it right there. Vaughn's just calling it out. Cool kids in my time didn't want to be in class. So Vaughn's, this is why I always discuss the importance of a father in the household and the importance of having a masculine leader in the home. You just said that in your time. That's my time. Fonz and I grew up together, for all those that are not aware of that. I think most people are. Cool kids in my time, didn't want to be in class. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I'm not even going to amp it up. Shout out to my dad, bro. Where's my pop's picture, man? Come on, bro. You can't tell me this ain't the coolest dude you ever seen, bro. With the bogey and all, but he only smoked cigarettes for like a couple months, and then he gave that up because he realized he was too cool for that shit. Can't be getting tired playing basketball. Can't be getting tired when you're trying to protect your family. Gave up cigarettes. But the reason why I did not care about what the cool kids were doing, I did not care about the cool kids not going to class. I knew that I was cool. I was trying to be my pops, not trying to be these other dumbass kids running around that weren't going to school. And the only reason why I say they're dumb is because they're misled. So perhaps I shouldn't have used the word dumb. I shouldn't have used the word dumb. I did not care about following other kids who are misled. I felt like I was the leader. My pops instilled that in me from the jump. I looked at him through the example that he set, not by telling me, but by showing me, because kids don't listen to what you tell them. They follow what you show them. So for me, it was easy. I want to be like, I want to be like, we all want to be like the people that we see as the coolest. The problem is we just acknowledge different people as who's cool and what's not, and what's cool and what's not. So for me, this is why I always stress the importance when we get up in here and we always say, oh, I love black women. I love black. I don't hear too many people screaming out, I love black men, as much as we hear Von's always talking about how much he loves Jasmine Crockett and all these other black women. Nothing wrong with that, Von's. Love your black women. But the energy doesn't seem to be the same when it comes to black men, especially considering the fact that obviously there's not a lot of, based on how we're just looking at it, and based on what Von's just said, the cool kids didn't want to go to class. It seems like a lot of us we know don't grow up with fathers in the household. So you would think that the fathers that are in the household that are leading their kids the right way would be overly celebrated. Right? Law, supply and demand. When you have less of something, creates a greater demand, so a greater appreciation. But around Father's Day, you don't hear any of that. Mother's Day is what's celebrated the most. We're living in a feminized culture. We're living in a very feminized culture. Very feminized culture. All right, let's move on. It's 8:55. What are we going to move on to? Let me check these notes. Let me check these notes, man. And that's a matter of fact, we're going to go right to this post that is speaking on this same thing. Speaking on this same exact thing. My bro sent me this. He sent me this earlier today. And it's funny because I was laughing at it because I'm looking at him like, bro, you condone a lot of I mean, whatever. Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all this real quick. Share screen. All right. So this is, check out this video. Check out this video. And I actually got to, hold on. All right, y'all take a look.
I'm gonna list these things off, and I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory paternity tests. You don't care about paternity fraud. You don't care about male suicide rates. You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside. You don't want to equalize that. You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men. You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony, pathologizing of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things. And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm
does.
saying most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And the beauty is if I just get the man I want, if I just get the partner I want, if I just I don't care. I don't care about what's happening with men. Let's bring attention back to women. That's what the detective did in that show.
Right.
And that is what society in Western cultures is unfortunately like. Most people only care about males or boys or men if they are their brother, their son, or their father, or their uncle, or their close friend. This society, in the quest to be fair to women, to improve their rights, allowed the worst representatives to take it to its furthest extreme.
Right.
When we talk so much about misogyny, most women can't tell you what the term is for a strong distaste and hatred for men. What's the term? What's
Misandry.
the misandry? Being a misandrist. Most men's experiences that we keep labeling as incels, we keep labeling as misogynists. Their experiences in coworker situations, in the schools, dating, on dating apps, is that a lot of women are either misandrous or they're so reductionistic of men that if you don't have the money, you have no say and you need to shut up. And even if you do have the money, it's happy wife, happy life once I'm in your life.
Protect that brother by all means. Protect that brother by all means. Let's keep it real. Y'all didn't know what misandry meant. Y'all didn't know what the term was for hatred of men. And when I say y'all, I'm talking about myself because I just looked it up right as the video was playing. I didn't know what the term was. I hadn't even watched the whole video that my boy sent over because obviously in the video it says it. I didn't know what that was. Misandry is the hatred, dislike, or prejudice against men or boys. We are living in a feminized society. And how does this occur? How do we get to this place? Easy how we get to this place. We have women raising boys. And something that we're getting ready to discuss in this video with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, they say that we love our boys, but we raise our daughters. We love our boys, but we raise our daughters. We love our boys, but we raise our daughters. I got a Dr. Umar. We love our boys. You got to say it 3 times. Dr. Umar said it. They won't get it unless you say it 3 times. Everything that he just said, women can't stand men. This society has taught us to not appreciate men. You got young boys that are being raised by women that hear everything in their voice. I mean, you hear all your mom's feelings. You're growing up with your mom talking about how much they hate men, how men ain't shit and men ain't this and men ain't that, raising their daughters to be prepared for life. You got to be prepared. You can't be dependent on no man. These men ain't this. Look at the men in my life. Is there a reason? Like, is it a surprise that we have now a society that doesn't appreciate men? That's the real word, the appreciation. And it's hard to appreciate something that you hate. But the main factor is the lack of appreciation for men. If a man comes in, we've had this conversation plenty of times, like, hey, I don't think you should be wearing that. You know, that's not appropriate. What is a woman's response? Well, why shouldn't I be able to wear it? Da-da-da. You're insecure. Now the man's insecure. All right. Dummy. I'm insecure. I'm insecure because I'm telling you that you should, based on, it's like the whole Angel Reese thing. Angel Reese complains about being sexualized, crying on national TV about being overly sexualized, but then you wear the most revealing clothes because it helps your brand and gives you the sexual attention that you're looking for. But oh, you're only looking for it if it's in a positive way by people that you want. You want to be able to pick and choose the attention that you get. That's like me jumping on here and saying certain things and saying, hey, Only people that agree with me and show me love, without understanding that a lot of the things that I say, people are going to hate. People are going to dislike me. I don't care. I care a little bit. I do. Matter of fact, let me rephrase that. I care because I don't want to say things that make people feel bad genuinely. I prefer to say things that empower people, to have people walk away and say, and have a good feeling. I prefer to make people feel good than to make people feel bad. However, sometimes you got to shoot it to your players straight, right? You're a coach. You can't just always just make the kid feel good. If you got to teach people a lesson, sometimes in order to teach people a lesson, if they don't embrace it with the positive reinforcements, sometimes you got to, hey, give some real constructive criticism that may make that person feel bad. But perhaps we should feel bad about some of the things that are going on. Perhaps we should feel bad. But when we watch that video, there's no outcry to have men appreciated more. We all sit here and say, oh, and a large part of the culture, men aren't showing up in their kids' lives. Men ain't this, men ain't that. It's very easy to criticize men. Criticize a woman, be careful. But it's popular to criticize men. But think about it from this standpoint. As much energy that goes into criticizing the men that ain't ish, you would think that there would be an equal or stronger opposite feeling towards appreciating the men that are great leaders, that are great men. But women don't care. Women don't, women, you want to know why? And the men don't care. You want to know why? Because when you're growing up in that household with that single mom and she's complaining about how men ain't this, or your mom, even if it's not a single parent household, that mom just stuck with daddy because granddad used to do all this terrible stuff to grandmom, and I'm never going to be in that situation ever again. So I'll never allow myself to be treated how grandma allowed herself to be treated. There's a reason for all of this. They never were taught to appreciate the good men. They were just taught to hate the majority of men or hate these type of men. Being taught to hate this group does not teach you how to love that group. Being taught to hate bad men does not teach you how to love and appreciate great men. There is no appreciation out here for men. And maybe this is a topic that just I'm speaking on, not only because I know the impact. I can see the impact. Once you got the glasses on, it's like, yo, like, y'all ain't seeing this? Put these on. Y'all don't see this? Once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. And you're almost going through it like how critical race theorists, they see the world through race, everything through race. That's how almost like I'm going through the world. I'm seeing it. Y'all hear me on the show. Every single problem, I'm looking like, father in the household could have fixed that. Some masculine structure and leadership could have fixed that. Some discipline could have fixed that. We are living in an out of control, feminized society. I don't care to blame women. I don't care to blame this, to blame that. It just is what it is. We just need to understand it to learn how to move forward without playing the blame game. Because once we start playing the blame game, you're blaming people that already have a problem accepting accountability and responsibility for things anyway. So you drive yourself, you'll be running around in circles. In a relationship, y'all women don't know how to appreciate men, good men that are exhausting themselves to provide a certain type of life to you, to provide certain protection, to provide certain provision and leadership to you. Y'all don't even know how to appreciate that. Y'all will go learn and listen to these dumbass podcasts and listen to this and that to learn how to do everything else, but to just listen to your man and listen like, yo, this is actually, what I would appreciate. You got to go to therapy. You got to go do all this stuff. You got to do all these self-talks. You got to do all this stuff rather than just ask your man. And the reason why you got to do all these things rather than just asking your man, because you're not going to therapy and doing all this other stuff to learn how to appreciate a man or what to appreciate, I should say, in a man. You're doing all this stuff because you know exactly what to do, but there's just something holding you back from doing it. And it's all your conditioning that you've had your entire life to teach you that you do not need to appreciate that man. So shout out to Eb in the building. It's an overcorrection. Women were oppressed for a long time, so it seesawed to the extremes. Society needs a better balance of respect for contributions by both sexes. So let me ask you this, Eb. I think I agree with you 100%. It's an overcorrection. Everything seesaws. Everything goes like this, right? Up and down. We push more for this, then we push more for that. Now that we recognize that it was an overcorrection, now that we've recognized that it's seesawed the extreme opposite way, where is the strong feminine energy pushing back the other way? Because we saw the strong feminist energy calling out toxic masculinity. We saw the strong feminine energy talking about women need to be boss bitches and women need to do. We saw all that. We saw y'all aggressively. And when I say y'all, I'm talking about women, feminist movement, and a lot of men fall into that category as well. We saw that being pushed very aggressively. But now that we identify that, hey, it's been overcorrected, which is another way of saying it's now wrong. We're wrong. Now, how do we push? Where's the energy pushing back in that other way? As aggressively as we push back to overcorrect, right? At least initially, right? Once we get the ball rolling, now we got to be responsible enough to have that benevolent leadership to where it's like, okay, we're not going to push back all the way to where it's like women don't have any rights. But that is why you have updated religions. This is kind of to the point that we were talking about earlier. Where, hold on, let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all something real quick. Let me show y'all something. And Steve wrote, I think this is a result of the toxic masculinity narrative that was projected on society for years. It was completely over the top and blurred and pushed the line of what a good man looks like. Steve, and anybody that knows me very closely, y'all know what I'm about to talk about. I always talk about this one, what was it called? Clubhouse that I was on. I call it like my infamous Clubhouse because I only did one. It actually ruined one of my closest friendships, to be totally honest. This Clubhouse. Because it was me versus the world. Y'all know how they got now these 20v1s? Anybody, Maya, if you're there, if you're on the show, then you can, was it not a 20v1? Men and women. Some in my friend group, some in my close circle. Where I'm going back and forth saying like, yo, what are y'all talking about? Toxic masculinity. Like the only thing toxic about masculinity is the lack of masculinity. Y'all are getting confused with this whole toxic thing. This was about, I guess Clubhouse came out in like what, around 2020, 2021. Everybody in this damn chat was arguing with me about toxic masculinity. And a lot of those people, I've seen them change their views and perspective on stuff. Did any of them come to me and be like, yo, yeah, you were right about that? Like, yo, no, because that's not what people do. We're not taught to do stuff like that. We're not taught to acknowledge, hey, I was wrong here. It's a very feminine way of doing things. You ever try to get a woman to apologize or to acknowledge that she was wrong on something? Not y'all. I'm talking about women outside of this group chat, right? I'm not y'all. I get that y'all. Of course, y'all are perfect. Men can admit that. Men should be able to admit that. Men that are raised with masculinity. How do I know? It's not me. Men are raised with a certain amount of emotional intelligence where your pops can be vulnerable with you and show you how to be vulnerable as a young man and admit where you were wrong. One of the first things that my pops taught me when it came to punishment, when I learned how to admit that I was wrong, almost to the point where now in a lot of my like let mine I get into an argument, I'll admit it, and it's not enough. See, people don't want you to, everybody try this. When you just admit that you're wrong, oh, my bad, I was wrong about that. It throws people off to the point where it's like, oh, nah, I wanted you to, like, you just admitted it. Like, it almost takes away from them fighting to prove that they're, oh, yeah, it's not a big deal. You're wrong, you're wrong. It is what it is. And Skeeg, I see your comment. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but Skeeg, I see your comment. We don't appreciate masculine men. And this is the society that we now have. We appreciate a leniency, right? Because the cool parent always lets you grow up without rules. And then when you realize when you were an adult that your lenient parenting puts your kid in a lot of compromising positions that you may not have been aware of, but hopefully when they get older, they feel comfortable expressing it to you. Where were we? Told y'all it's finna get sticky up in here. I told y'all. All right. Make sure that y'all are liking and subscribing. Let's all take 5 deep breaths, man. Let's take 5 deep breaths. Normally we wait to the end of the show, but let's take 5 deep breaths before we get into this Barack Obama. We're going to take some exhales. Exhale all the negative energy. Inhale all the positive. Those deep breaths just went out the window because I saw what Steve wrote, and I got it. And they connect the narrative of toxic masculinity to demonize capitalism. Yeah, there's a reason why they tried to create this toxic masculinity and demonize not only capitalism, but demonize masculinity. It's because y'all can't compete. You shouldn't be able to compete. In masculine ways, women can't compete. So that way you got to demonize it. Men, we're not trying to compete in what feminine ways are. Men, we're not trying to run out here and say, oh, I could do everything a woman can do. Okay. Now I understand that I have to add context to it. Because like Ebony pointed out, women were oppressed and weren't allowed certain things that men were allowed. So I understand. I do understand. I don't want to act like I just don't understand. But this whole toxic masculinity has fooled a lot of young women. A lot of women in their 35-year-old, I talked about it all the time. You speak to them and they're like, yo, I've been fooled. I've been fooled by the old grumpy aunties and whatever else who told me I need to chase being a CEO. I need to chase the corporate structure. Don't worry about family. You need to make sure that you always got a certain amount of money. You can't rely on no man. They misled y'all. And American culture fed into it. The fact that, like, you know what's so funny is? It's like the fact that women have tried to compete in masculine ways so hard. Y'all are kind of like the ones that are acknowledging that masculinity is more. Are y'all saying that masculinity is better than femininity? Like, men, we're not trying to compete in y'all areas, but y'all are. Or let me actually change that. Nah, I'm not going to change it. Keep it what it is. Keep it on record. Let the record indicate that that will be submitted into the testimony. Fellas, we do have to do a better job let me say this. The fellas' mistake was what a lot of our grandparents, our grandfathers and great grandfathers, the same grandfathers and great grandfathers who all these women in their 20s and 30s, they love granddad, right? Granddad can do no wrong. Daddy can do no wrong. Even though granddad was the one that shaped y'all mindset into men ain't shit. Running around on grandma, right? But y'all still love granddaddy. Y'all still celebrate granddaddy and laugh about granddaddy was a Rolling Stone, and y'all laugh at it, right? But we now gotta bear the brunt of that. Okay, cool. Our granddaddies and great granddaddies didn't do a good job of appreciating the role that grandma and great grandma was playing, perhaps. Because if they would have done a better job in appreciating grandma and great grandma and celebrating the role that she did in taking care of the home, maybe even still working, running that house like a top ranked CEO. But because that appreciation wasn't there, women went and sought validation and appreciation in other areas to the point that Ebony initially had. So I get it. There has to be a certain level of understanding, because if you drop the ball in appreciating, no different than appreciating a teammate, appreciating a coworker, appreciating, if you drop the ball in appreciating that person, that teammate's going to look for another team. That coworker is going to look for another job or another partner on the job. This is just how this stuff works. Just how this stuff works. As a leader, you have to appreciate, over-appreciate in some ways. I'm not even going to call it over-appreciate, because over-appreciating things will bring problems, and that's kind of a lot of the reason why I think we're in the situation that we're in. But I think we're all on the same page. Let the boys be boys, man. Let the boys be boys. That's where you get the I can do bad all by myself logic. I get it. But what I don't understand is why I got to take the heat of what great granddad and what granddad did, while every time you around great granddad and granddad, y'all just melt in their arms and y'all just but then y'all being assholes to us men now. It's like, wait, I didn't cheat on grandma. I wasn't out here cheating on granddad. But you give grace to what granddad did, but then you don't give grace to what I did in my 20s, maybe a little bit of 30s. Granddad and granddad, they raised us too. We were raised under that. Just like racism, it affects all people, so did how granddad and great granddad was operating. It affected all people. But y'all give granddad and great granddad more grace than y'all give us now, who we're just products of what they produced. And with all that said, we still have to take accountability as men. We're men now. Doesn't matter. You were raised in a particular environment, so what? Do better. You were raised in an environment where everybody ate soul food and grandma got the extra skin hanging off the arm and granddad was doing whatever, doing his thing. So what? Do better. Be healthier. Be more responsible. Be a better leader. All right, let's keep moving. Ed, funny, you ain't my granddaddy. All right, let's move on to this conversation with Barack and Michelle. Where do we have this? Oh man. Woo. Shout out to Marty Mott. Let's get to, we'll start with 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Oh man. All right, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's go. All right, is this tab being shared? It is. Y'all can see. All right. Everybody good? All right, let's look at Barack, man. So this is Barack Obama on Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson, who I didn't know Craig Robinson, Michelle's brother, 6'6", plays some basketball. You know, neither here nor there. But this may be a good interview for y'all to check out if y'all want the entire thing. I didn't watch the entire thing. I kind of just checked out some clips here and there and tried to, whatever clip I was watching, I tried to watch before and after just to get more context. But let's go through it. Let's get your thoughts, and we'll unpack it as we usually do.
Well, first of all, the most important strategy.
So just to be clear, they're talking about how parenting, like how to go about parenting the right way. So let's all cross our leg like Barack and let's discuss.
First of all, the most important strategy, whether it was a boy or a girl, was having the right partner. And now that I'm not,
That's
that
me,
I say
y'all.
even behind her back.
Yeah.
Every one of my young male staff members, when they talk to me about dating and relationships and what to look for, I say, look, the starting point is this person is going to raise your children alongside you. And so I'll be honest with you. Michelle being Malia and Sasha's mom, that made all the difference. And then I do think, for whatever reason, we had similar strategies in the sense that I think we both believe that you give unconditional love to kids, but you also give them structure. That you're always there for them and keeping them safe, but you're also saying as early as 2 or 3, no, you can't do that.
All right. First and foremost, there was a lot there. I agree with everything Barack Obama just said. Let me say it again because it doesn't happen often. I agree with everything Barack Obama just said. And perhaps I shouldn't say that it doesn't happen often. Well, I think that I think Barack Obama knows, like he knows what's going on, but I just think when it comes to politics and things getting politicized, he does things for different reasons. But he said that it starts with who you choose as a partner, choosing the right partner. And I want to highlight this is because this may be a tough pill to swallow, but that is the responsibility on a parent. So, and this goes, I'm going to go a few different ways with this. We've had conversations before where it comes to divorce and we're, okay with divorce and stuff, because if you just can't work it out, then, it's better to be separated than to have your kid grow up in a toxic environment. We've all heard that conversation. My response is, I really believe that when two people work and commit to having the best environment for that child, two people, it got to be two, go all in. Maybe I think too highly of people, but I think that it won't be a toxic environment. It's only a toxic environment when you're not 100% committed to having two parents in the household raising that kid. When two people are not 100% committed, then of course it can be a toxic environment. Of course, you're going to be able to rationalize why you should walk away from that relationship. But you're not prioritizing your kid. Don't fool yourself. You're prioritizing you and what you want and what you want to enjoy in life and what type of life you want to live with. Because on the job, I hear plenty of people complaining about how they hate their job. Most people go to their jobs every day and hate the people that they work with, hate their boss, hate their commute, hate everything about it. But when I hear you talking to your boss and hear you talking to your employees, it's always, oh my God, I can't stand this one. Oh, yes, hi. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Oh, no problem. Oh, yeah, we'll get it taken care of. No, it's no problem. Hang up. Oh, my God, I can't. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying. Have that energy towards your relationship. Now, people will say, I don't want to focus on the divorce part. But what I do want to focus on is, I've had a few conversations with people recently, year before, whatever. Like it always, like I never know what to say. If you know me, probably the majority of y'all know by now, I'm a very direct person. Especially, I just don't like lying to people and feeding people BS because I just wouldn't want somebody doing that to me. So in order to make sure that I'm communicating with you in the most direct way, sometimes it may come off as insensitive. And it is insensitive. It's insensitive to your feelings, perhaps, but insensitive at the cost of making sure that I'm prioritizing giving you my 100% how I feel opinion because I care about you. I've had conversations with people like, oh my God, he just doesn't treat me right. He's cheating. He's doing this. He's doing that. Bruh, he was doing all that when you met him. Matter of fact, he was cheating on his girl when y'all got together. This has been the same thing that's been going on for the longest. And now you expect it to change? Who should be mad at who? That same person was good enough for you to allow them to have sex with you in an unprotected way and release. But now you want to have those complaints? How is that fair to him? Or maybe it's the opposite way. How is that fair to her? Choosing the right partner. That same dude that ain't shit as a father probably wasn't shit as a boyfriend when you met him, when you decided to have sex. Choosing the right partner. There needs to be more accountability and responsibility on us and who we have kids with. Just my opinion, though. Steve just said it. That's the thing. When both parents are all in, it sets up an environment that is much more conducive to creating quality individuals. Do y'all ever have conversations with y'all parents? And say, hey, mom and dad, why didn't y'all stick together and raise me in the same house? It would have really helped my development. It would have protected me in ways that I needed protection. Nah, we don't like having those conversations as families, right? Okay. So now the parents grow up thinking that they did a good job. So now they're pushing certain things. They're voting for certain things, right? They don't maybe appreciate certain conservative values because they think their liberal upbringing of leniency, raising their kids, wanting to be friends instead of parents, they think that it did a great job because their kids never keep it real with them and directly communicate the horrors that it may have brought to a lot of their lives. But we don't want to have that conversation, right? We just want to celebrate dad. Dad's the best. Mom's the best. But we don't want to sit down with mom and dad, say, yo, y'all love me. And y'all know, like, a lot of the struggles and challenges that I have in life, like that, those things impacted me. So what Barack Obama just said, I agree 100%. Choosing the right partner. taking responsibility, not being able to have in the back of your mind that I can fall back on government assistance and social programs if my man ain't there. That's a certain amount of accountability that parents need to make, because it's not fair to the kids. And if kids are being real and having those conversations with their parents will see it and perhaps help them in ways. Because you have a conversation with your parents, right? You may say, oh, it's too late. There's no point in having that conversation with my parents. What's it going to do? Well, maybe it'll shift their mindset so that they can maybe embrace certain values and a perspective that now can help you with maybe raising your kids, that now can help you in your relationship to give certain advice, maybe share different things, because we're all struggling in relationships. So we can help any amount of help that we can get, perspective from people that actually went through these things before us. It can be helpful. Please let me know. Unc said nowadays people don't talk enough to their children. I agree. Unc. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going to the next part of this. Let me see. 16 minutes. All right, so we're going to move forward to 16 minutes. And this part is on manhood. What being a man meant then versus now. All right. Let's take a look.
I don't remember maybe when I was a really young child, other than the idea that guys were strong, they didn't whine, they were tough.
They were expected to go to work.
They worked
and provide,
right,
and protect.
Yes.
I mean, and I think back about Dad. I think when I'm thinking about Dad as a role model, I remember the fact that here you have a man who has MS, and he's getting up and he's going to work absolutely every day.
Right.
And he is not complaining. That's another thing. Men didn't complain.
You don't complain.
Then.
You're stoic.
You were. Yeah, I love that word, stoic. Coach Carmody used to use that all the time, stoic. But our dad never complained. He never got up. He had a sense of humor. That was another thing that you learned from guys, is that you needed a sense of humor. Right. But one of the most.
I wanted to keep playing it, but y'all heard him mention the word stoic. Men were stoic. I remember, like, one of my favorite books that I ever read was on stoicism. And it started off with the example in the airport when you're getting mad and you're like lashing out on the airplane attendants, rather than just being cool, not overreacting with emotions, but always seeing things through a calm, logical, clear perspective. Never using and wasting, I should say, emotional energy in these situations, but just simply understanding I can't control what's not in my control, but let me focus on the things that are within my control and make the best of it. You can call it emotional intelligence. These are the things that men, based on what Barack and Craig were saying and Michelle acknowledging, this is what men previously had. So when you compare it to men now, men, we're just as emotional, maybe even more emotional than a lot of women these days. Why? Because we love our boys, but we raise our daughters. Now, I'm not saying that they're focusing on Black households, Black families, but perhaps this is highlighted the most in Black families because you have the highest rate of families that are being led by women in the Black community. Women aren't teaching their sons to be stoic. To be totally honest, a lot of them are teaching their daughters more to be logical. I wouldn't say stoic, but Definitely teaching their daughters to be logical and use the emotion and logical, but teaching their daughters that men ain't shit, so therefore you better make sure that you handle stuff on your own. But they're just loving their boys. They're treating their boys like they're men. It's the whole Oedipus complex. It's baby boy. Jody, that's how boys are being raised. You can be real and be stern and direct with your daughter and raise her with the structure, but with the boys, nah. Overly emotional. Overly emotional. That's what's toxic. Stoicism. We need to embrace more of that, in my opinion.
The important things that I remember is that you got along.
What got along
You
in
got
the world,
along,
period.
You got along with the other guys you were with. You got along with your teammates. You got along with your coworkers. Nobody wanted to be considered a jerk.
That is true. Some of the definitions of manhood, I think, were negative, right? You don't whine, you don't cry.
No emotion.
You're not a jerk. I do like the thing you brought up, though, about being a protector.
He said some of the things were negative. Listen to the things that he mentioned.
That is true. Some of the definitions of manhood, I think, were negative, right? You don't whine, you don't cry.
No emotion.
You're not a jerk.
You don't whine, you don't cry. Crying, everybody cries. Like, yeah. The whining, not whining, I don't see how that's a negative. Barack Obama said that's a negative. And it actually just reminded me of a post. I want to show y'all this because the whole you don't whine, you don't cry, you got to be more vulnerable. That's what they used to push with the whole toxic masculinity thing. Let me show y'all something. I believe I have it saved on my Instagram. Hold on one second. Give me a second. Where's this post at? Where's this post? All right, I got it right here. Hold on. Hold up. All right, let me share this tab real quick. Listen to this, and I want y'all to respond based on what Shaq says.
Who takes care of Shaquille O'Neal?
Nobody. Take care of myself. I caught flack one time. I was on this young lady's podcast, and she said, do you express your emotions to your woman? I said, no. Why would I do that? Oh, and they tried to kill me. But I don't. And the reason why, because as a man, you are to protect, provide, and love. And women are emotionally caring. So if I'm telling her I have a bad day, now it's two people with bad days. I don't tell my woman I'm having a bad day. How's your day? Oh, I'm good, baby. I got to take care of it. Because if you put stress on her, she's going to put it right back on you. Because it's our job to protect, provide, and love. But people, oh, you need it. No, I don't do that. I take care of everything, and that's just how it's going to be. And you know why I'm like that? Because it's worked for me. It's worked for me. So I'm not going to meet somebody now and be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Now, a lot of people may have issue with that, take issue with that. Well, if you're not vulnerable with your woman, then how is she going to know when you're having a bad day? How is she going to know? No, you should. I agree 100% of what Shaq just said. And you know what's so funny? When I was watching that video, I'm like, women have all this intuition when it comes to anything else in life. When it comes to knowing if your man, did you look at somebody funny today at work? Because the way that your eyelashes are, I know how your eye twitches when you looked at somebody pretty that wasn't me. And I know, like, literally women will have, like, y'all are gifted when it comes to a woman's intuition. But all that intuition seems to go out the way when you can't have the intuition of understanding that your man may have had a rough day, that your man's a little tired, that work may be kicking your man's ass. Y'all don't seem to incorporate the intuition when it comes to that. And it's because you don't want to. It's too much work for you. So don't give me the BS about, oh, men need to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable for what? That's just something that women say and have said because they don't expect the man to actually do it. Then when a man's actually is vulnerable, y'all looking at that man as soft. Don't do anything to fix that. Don't do anything to make him have a better day. Y'all ain't, man. Stop it. Stop it. This is stop it. Women, y'all don't care about men. Y'all hate us. Y'all hate us. Yo, let's keep going with Barack. Let's keep going with Barack. Oh, my fault. It's not on the screen. Hold up.
And it
No emotion.
negative, right? You don't whine, you don't cry.
No emotion.
You're not a jerk. I do like the thing you brought up though about being a protector, because for some reason that part of it I think appealed to me, and it at its best it then counterbalanced the idea of being strong, right? Like you're strong not to pick on people, right? Not to be a bully, not to dominate others. Instead, it's strength in order to protect, right? And for me, a lot of being a man was being self-sufficient, right? The idea of I can handle myself and make my way through the world. And I tell this story, you've heard this story, and sometimes people kind of freak out. Fairly early on because...
Hold on. So Vons wrote, Dax, so you're going to keep it inside and have it built up over time? Ain't good for your health. No, Vons, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do the things that can bring me at peace to where I'm not completely dependent on another person bringing me peace. Or I'm going to make sure that I do what Barack Obama said earlier on and make sure that I choose the right partner that uses their intuition to bring about those things to where I don't have to say it. Just like if my girl's going through something, I is going through something, and she don't need to tell me. I use my intuition. Yes, she can express certain things to me, but you don't need to deny all that complaining to women. To each their own. It doesn't eat me up inside. I deal with it. Who's to say that you can't deal with something? I acknowledge it to myself first and foremost. What's bothering me? Damn, how is this bothering me? Why is this bothering me? Why is this impacting me in this way? I need to address this. I need to do better. There's something inside of me that I need to change. What do you think I'm gonna, so when you talk to somebody about it, right? When you go to therapy, right? A lot of people do therapy. We are aware of the fact that therapists don't recommend how to solve things. Like they don't give you advice. They just say, oh, maybe you should do this. They tell you to go do the work. They recommend different ways so you can solve the problem yourself. Therapists don't say, do this, or this is what's right. No, that's not what therapy is. I don't even think they're legally allowed to do that. They recommend different ways for you to help yourself. So for me, I'm extremely vulnerable, but I'm vulnerable with myself. I'll reach out. If I have an issue, then maybe I'll reach out to one of my bros. Maybe I'll reach out to my dad. Or maybe I figure out a way to confront certain things in me internally, because I think that's a very important thing that we should be raised to do, how to confront your problems. A lot of the problems that we hold are just because we don't address it within ourselves. Queez said it, and Queez just said it. I talked to y'all about it. Don't think that anything, this is my way of, this in a lot of ways, this is therapy. Y'all are smart enough. Y'all know half the stuff that I'm talking about. I'm talking directly to Maya, shooting these shots from it. You know what I'm saying? Because I deal with it personally. And I want to be able to share with y'all. I tell y'all all the time that this show is a lot of my outlet. Speaking on these things, but I'm not going back and saying, if a woman decides that she doesn't want to use her intuition to understand when I'm having a rough day? Let's be real. Hold on. First off, what creates a rough day for a man? What creates a rough day for a man? What's a rough day? Because life, the lack of appreciation of what we do have, in my opinion, creates a rough day. Oh man, I didn't make as much money as I wanted to. Bro, figure your shit out. Hey babe, I'm really struggling to make money and did it. Nah, I'm good. I'll figure it out. Don't trip. I may get a little upset, like, yo, the fuck, like, yo, like you do know money. And I see all this stuff being Amazon and stuff or something like that. Like, yo, a little, but my job is to not to be totally honest, this may be wrong, but I'll be totally honest. Half the time, I don't even like discussing money and finances with Maya. I don't even like it. If the stock's down, if Tesla's down, I don't discuss it. I just let her know when it's up. I don't even want to have that conversation because honestly, you're not at your best when you're worrying about money, in my opinion. You're not going to be what I need you to be for me if you're stressed out worrying about the stuff that I'm supposed to handle. Now, if I'm handling all that I need to handle and I'm bearing the brunt of all these responsibilities that I need to handle, then you need to make sure that you're using that intuition to understand and to be aware and to read me based on maybe I had a rough day. What's a rough day for me? Like literally, what's a rough day? Like I don't really have, like, Vons, what's a bad day for you? If somebody doesn't die in my family or close friends, what could be a bad day? What my breakfast wasn't good? Like, I had some road rage. I didn't lift enough weight at the gym. Like, what is a bad day? I don't really have these bad days. Like, I be stressed all the time because I'm tired. I'm exhausted from putting in work and from wanting more. So just support me in that. Like, you know the deal. That's going to be the same way to support me. If I'm tired, fill my cup, right? I'm emptying my cup every day. You know what you need to do to fill it. We don't have to keep having that conversation. Now, whether you choose to do so or not, that's on you. And if you don't, then I need to keep it moving and find somebody who will, period. Because if my cup's not being filled, now I'm going to be, let's say I got kids. How do you act when your cup's not full? How do you act when you're tired, when you're stressed out? You act like an asshole. Now you're being an asshole to your kids. Now you're being an asshole to people on the job. Now you're walking around mad. Women know damn well what they need to do to fill up somebody's cup. Bad day when my truck broke down on the border at a fishing tournament. All right, Vons, if that's your bad day, then shout out to you, bro. Because I'm sure you can acknowledge how privileged it is for your bad day to be when your truck broke down, rather than the fact that a lot of people that you're driving by and they're walking or they're at the bus stop, they don't have a car to break down. So if that's a bad day, then, hey, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. Like bad day or bad, I don't have bad days, bro. Yo, honestly, the only time I have a bad day, let me put this air on because I had to close the windows. A bad day for me is when I'm not on the same page with Maya or my family. That's a bad day. Other than that, I can handle it. Bro, if my parents are listening right now, yo, hold on. Yo, if my parents are listening right now, bro, I lost a client a couple months ago. That client was worth more to me, just financially, just based on, the sales and everything like that. He was worth more to me than any of my other clients combined. Y'all know I got having an apartment in Hackensack in Jersey. And having an apartment in Miami is not, it can be expensive. There's a lot of financial stress, right? I never let them see me sweat with that shit. Never. I was laughing at it. My parents were more worried about it than me. I remember it was my dad's birthday. We found out they asking me how much am I getting paid less? I lied to them and told them it was like, oh, it ain't nothing. It's just a couple thousand. Nah, bro, that took away more than half of what I was making. Oh, well, do better. Figure out, go get another client. Stop crying, stop bitching. If I'm in a good place with Maya, if I'm in a good place with my family, that's all that's important. I'll figure out the rest. I will figure out the rest. Now, maybe that's just the benefit of having an amazing support system. Cool, yeah, absolutely. You think I'm gonna be crying and letting my family feel the fact that, oh, he doesn't have more, now he's stressing. I actually believe in energy, bro. So if I put out a certain amount of energy, if I put out some negative energy, you know what's gonna happen? Then that's gonna have my family stressing. That's gonna have them create fear in their eyes. So now when you have a mastermind, what is a mastermind? A group of people working towards one goal, right? And how that compounds because we all focus on the same thing. If everybody's focusing on the negative thing, then that cancer spreads just as much as the positive would spread, and I can't afford that. So now we're going to figure it out. We're going to keep it pushing. We're going to keep it pushing. Stressed out money? Like, yo, you ain't got enough. I'm confident enough I'll make the money, bro. I'll make the money if I haven't learned. Like, come on. Y'all know what I'm saying. We don't need to keep going on this. We don't need to keep going on this, bro. We don't need to keep going on this, bro. I don't have bad days, bro. I don't have bad days. The only time I have a bad day is when I can't get on the same page with Maya or family. That's it. A bad day. The nerve of who do I think I am to have a bad day, bro? I'm about to fly to Miami tonight and sit by the pool and go to the beach. What, a bad day, bro? Like how arrogant would I have to even be to say that? Yeah, y'all get what I'm saying, bro. I don't have no bad days, bro. Man is the gardener and woman is the garden. His attention and consideration will determine her foliage and fruit she bears when he's hungry. I like that. His attention and consideration. I like that, Eb. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yo, and I've seen, you want to know otherwise? What's the number one reason why people get divorced? They say financial reasons, right? And everything starts from that. Yo, never. I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing that, bro. Like, that's a responsibility that I need to. Yo, if a man can't be financially responsible, then you don't deserve to have a family. You damn near don't even deserve to have a girl. Forget a wife. If you can't be financially responsible, then you don't deserve all that, bro. Isn't that what you're supposed to be bringing to the whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just me. That's just what I embrace. I'm not saying that this is the right way. I'm not saying everybody has to embrace it. That's just how I embrace stuff. And women are lying if they're not keeping it real, saying that you look at your man differently based on money. You don't think money matters? All right. Women treat you differently when you're unemployed than when you got gainful, and then you're gainfully employed. They do. And they should. Now, if you lose your job and you getting back on your feet, I'm not saying that a woman should kick your back in. She should support you 100%. I'm talking about the people out here that lose their job or living check to check, but you play video games 4 hours a day. But you out here just with the boys going out every weekend. Yo, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was telling me how her dude goes out, like her dude go out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm like, yo, what? Like goes out? Like, what do you mean? Like go out? Like just to, like I looked at it like it was an experiment, like a science project, like asking questions, like I was doing research. So he goes out like with friends just to drink, just to hang out for no reason, like not to, like, are they meeting for business? Are they meeting for? No, they just goes out. Wait, what? I couldn't even conceptualize it. I couldn't even conceptualize it, bro. I don't go out, bro. I stay home. I'm in the crib. I'm in the office. I'm working. And then if Maya comes down when Maya's in Miami, then we go out. I'm not just going. What's out? What's out, bro? I know. No. Let's get back to the video. My fault.
I do freak out over
because
this.
I was living in Indonesia. I'd fly from Hawaii to Indonesia on my own if I was visiting my grandparents, even at the age of 8. Yeah, and it was cool because stewardess was there. She would grab you.
This is where the convo where it gets, to me, it gets real. All right, so I think we're at the 54-minute mark. All right, here we go.
I do want to talk to Emma as a mother, because she's a mother trying to figure this out. And I do think there's a question, like the original question of why do we love our sons and raise our daughters? And I think that's something worth sort of talking through among mothers, because sadly, many mothers are parenting alone, which is a huge problem. I think Scott Galloway, there are other researchers out there who say that one of the challenges that boys face is that there just aren't enough men in their lives. You know, the men have disappeared, whether through divorce or fatherhood. There are small numbers of male teachers in high schools. Boys are growing up in an education system where they're mostly surrounded by women.
Right.
Barack, you've talked about the fact that the entire education system isn't even designed to recognize boys and what they need.
Hold up. What did Barack say? Hold on. What did Barack say?
By women.
Right.
Barack, you've talked about the fact that the entire education system isn't even designed to recognize boys and what they need.
Hold up. You mean the same education system that Trump was calling out all the issues that Trump wanted to get rid of the Board of Ed, that all black people were coming out there and saying, no, we need the Board of Ed. All the liberals and Democrats running out. You talking about that education system? Oh, well, he shouldn't destroy it. He should try to fix it. Oh, you mean the one that they've been trying to fix since they started it, since the states lost power and it went under national leadership and became this Board of Ed? You mean the one that they've been trying to fix? We're in Montclair, New Jersey. Let's just take Montclair, for instance. Great education school system, right? For everybody but the black kids. Because they've had this wealth gap, this education gap for the longest. My godmother's husband was responsible for fixing the education gap maybe 30 years ago as assistant superintendent or whatever role he was in. It hasn't changed, but nobody actually looks at we don't look at the numbers. You talking about that education system to where the people that it fails the most are the ones who are fighting for it the most? Oh. Look at Vance. Stop coming at Obama. He did his best. I actually just agreed with Obama. And have agreed with him on the majority of what he's saying. You see how emotional we've become? This is kind of wild that Vons would even write that. And y'all know it, but y'all ain't going to write it. Y'all sitting back like, what is he talking about? Stop coming at Obama. What did I'm not coming at Obama. I'm coming at y'all. I'm coming at you. Like, you over here defending Obama. I'm coming at you. I'm coming at us for getting bamboozled into all of this stuff. Barack is telling the truth. The education system is not built to help empower and raise young men. Yeah. Vons is crazy.
So, what do we say to Emma? Because again, we don't know whether she's parenting alone or whether she has a husband. But I do think that mothers struggle to figure out what do their sons need. And so they wind up operating out of their own fears and their own instincts, which is to love unconditionally. I think mom was like this. She raised me to be tough because I think she knew what it was like to be a woman. In her mind, she knew what she was preparing me for. The insults, the limitations, the whatever you can think of, the sexism, the biases. So she knew you have to have a mouth. You have to be.
Yo, all joking aside, maybe I need to do some more due diligence, because maybe I need to talk to my mom, talk to Maya, talk to some of the women in my life a little bit more and understand how hard it is for them out here. Or maybe that's just a testament to some of the men that I'm around. When I look at my homeboys that are married and I look at their wives and I'm like, I don't think that I wouldn't say that they have such a hard life. Now, everybody has challenges, but this whole narrative that it's just so hard for women out here, like maybe I just got to do better, because that's not represented. And like I got on Ed the other day saying, well, she said the certain things in her family ain't like that, or the black people that she knows ain't like that. So maybe I just need to broaden my scope, because I see a lot of the reasons why life would be hard for women out here. First and foremost, if you're raising a kid by yourself. Yeah, because I think it would be hard for anybody to raise a kid by herself, especially a woman in a lot of ways, because a woman now has to embrace doing what we perceived as masculine when it comes to providing provision, right? Providing money, all these things. So I can explain now, there's going to be challenges to a man raising a kid as well, but I don't want to get lost on that point. But a lot of the things that make women's lives hard seem to be a lot of choices. Like, you choose, you're not forced to have sex and have a baby with certain people, right? Like, that's who you choose. So by not being more responsible and not being more deliberate and intentional in who you're deciding to have a baby with, well, shit, damn, you just set yourself up. That's the hardest thing I would think that would be in your life. I think that would be the hardest thing. So what did we say about being stoic? Controlling the things that are within our control. So if we focus on the things that are within our control, maybe that'll take some of those burdens off of women to where your life is not as hard. Now, when it comes to discrimination, oppression, yeah, I understand. There's always going to be certain biases that they mentioned, that men are perceived as stronger, maybe more intelligent in certain areas, but I don't even know if that's a thing. But you can't complain about those things, but then also skip the line at the club and not pay for any drinks while you go out at night. Meanwhile, like Unc said earlier, dude, we got $1,000 tab. we're expected to pay for dinner, right? Y'all say we some broke niggas if we don't pick up the bills, right? So it's like almost, and I was supposed to play this video where Jason Whitlock is talking to this guy about some of the harmful effects of what Martin Luther King was pushing. And he highlighted the fact that it made Black people this protected class, this victimhood. So yeah, if we keep saying that, oh, a woman's life is hard or a man's life is hard and stuff like that, yeah, people will embrace that stuff because people are always looking to find excuses and rationalizations why their life is not what they want it to be. But maybe I just need to do a better job of communicating and listening to women, because the women that I run into, they don't really share that with me, that their lives are that hard. Let's keep going.
Be able to speak up for yourself. With you, she wanted you to be nice so that you wouldn't get in trouble or you wouldn't get arrested. But was that who you were? So what do we say to the Emmas of the world? How do we sort of start thinking as a society about helping mothers raise sons, because they're doing it alone?
And hold on, I got to highlight what Eb said. My fault that I just stopped it. But Eb said a strong support system in the form of family is a privilege. Epigenetics is real, and it takes a conscious person to recognize and do something about familial habits. I don't know if this is as a man or just my perspective on things, but things that are within my control, I never tend to see as a privilege. Like, I almost see privilege as the things where I was just born into. I mean, how could I say it? And I understand that that's not, I may be wrong in saying that, but I'm just saying how I tend to see things. Like a lot of the things that we perceive as privileges are things that are within all of our control. Like having a strong support system in a family, like that's things that are within your control. That's maybe my parents, when they're going through trouble, deciding to stay together because they want to raise their family a certain type of way, where my dad wants to be a role model to his kids in a certain type of way and not have to sit here and say, well, don't do what I did. I cheated on mom and therefore, so you shouldn't do it. No. Let me look at your actions. So that way I don't have an excuse to say like, well, shit, I don't know if I could do this. If it's already been done, then I don't have an excuse. So all of these are just decisions, like having a strong support system. These are just decisions that people make to compromise this. Like, like, what type of privilege are people really looking for? Like a strong support system, like I guess I can understand how, based on what society is and based on what the norm is, that we've set a curve where it's like, well, based on today, having a father is a privilege. Like, damn, like think about that. That's how far gone we are in society, where having a father in the household is a privilege. Like, what? Damn, wait, what? That's just a decision, right? Let's keep going. The main takeaway that I want to have is we can create our own privileges simply by the decisions that we make. It would almost be like somebody telling me, I'm going to make it about me real quick. It would be almost like somebody telling me, and this is what I always get annoyed with, like when they say that, and I've talked about this before to y'all, where it's like when they talk about, like, let's say my physique, and they'll say like, oh, well, yours genetics, like you're what? Or somebody told me, yo, that was a privilege, you made it to the NFL. I mean, yeah, but like, I would almost be a little bit like, if somebody who didn't, it would be different if somebody told me that and I knew that they put in the same amount of work or had the same commitment to that goal than me. I would look at it a little bit differently. But it's almost like you're telling me this, like, oh, it's a privilege. Like, nah. Or somebody told you it's a privilege. Like, you're just privileged to make a certain amount of money. For y'all that may make money or whatever. If somebody that makes less money in your family told you, like, oh, yeah, you're privileged because you have a good job, so you can't. Well, you could have got a good job. You could have worked. Let me just keep going. Let me keep going. Y'all understand what I'm saying. Y'all understand what I'm saying. Y'all understand what I'm saying.
And we're being told that we don't have what it takes to give boys all of what they need.
Well, look,
We don't have raise sons because they're doing it alone. And we're being told that we don't have what it takes to give boys all of what they need.
You don't. Period. Hard stop. Women do not have what it takes to give a boy everything they need.